Okay, hi everybody. I just thought we'd make this video. Just thought I'd make this video just to cover the basics of self-defense. So just try and go through from blue stripe, blue belt, red stripe, and above, just so that we know what we need to be doing and how we're doing it, and what we're expecting as grade examiners when you're doing it at the grading. Bearing in mind. So let's just bow in if you've joined me. Talia? Can you? Thank you. So within the UTA, we have a certain aspect of self-defense we do at blue stripe, and then at blue belt, and then at red stripe and above. Now within Taekwondo, there's three applications or three ways to release from a grab. So we have this title at the top of self-defense within Taekwondo. Now obviously Taekwondo is a version of unarmed combat for the purpose of self-defense, but we know that it's more than just that. So within Taekwondo we have all these different elements, patterns, sparring, conditioning, fundamentals, and we have this title of self-defense. Now within self-defense, the self-defense aspect or the self-defense realm is about a sudden attack or being grabbed. Now, it does state in the encyclopedia that this sort of training is for the black belt holders and above. However, what we felt within the UTA would be that it would be nice for colour belts to try to get into understanding what this self-defense aspect is. So then when we go into black belt stage, we are in a position where we're a bit more competent with it and we can really run with it and try and perfect it even more. So the first element of releasing from a grab is what we call a releasing motion. Okay, now what that will be is just basically getting out of that grab. Okay, now when somebody grabs you with their hands, there's going to be a weak point. Now that weak point is between the fingers and the thumb. Okay, so if somebody grabs your wrist, you're going to be looking to see how you can get out of that part there, to release from that weak bit, because obviously you can't go through the hand, so we're looking to go out of that grab through that weak part of that grab. Okay, now if somebody grabs you on the same side, so say for instance I'm grabbing your wrist on this side, then there'll be a certain way to move. If I was using this hand and grabbing across your body and grabbing your other wrist, then obviously that would be a slightly different way to move. Now the principles of self-defense are about utilizing our body mass and our body weight, just like they are when we're doing a punch, when we're doing a strike, when we're doing a kick. Okay, so it's important to understand that we don't try and pull away from the grab, we actually step forward into the grab. Okay, so it's a bit going against your instincts, if you like, because if somebody grabs you, the first thing you want to do is to get away. So you have to be in complete control of what you're doing. You have to be in control of the situation, and you have to be confident in what you're doing. Okay, so these releasing motions, we're going to use our body mass. So for instance, if I'm standing here, somebody grabs my right wrist here with their left hand, so they're grabbing this way. So the weak point is going to be between the thumb and the fingers this way, like that. So I've got to release from here. So from this position, I'm going to step forwards, twist my hand down, so then I release between that weak point. Then I'm going to come back, right? And then the other hand, I'm going to release and I'm going to come back. However, once we've released, we don't want to remain in that position because we're too close to that opponent. We need to step back into a guarding position, so now we're ready. Okay? So somebody grabs, you release, step back. You grab this hand, you're going to release, and you're going to step back. Okay? So let's practice that for a minute. So we're going to, obviously if you're mirroring me, this is your left arm. So from that position, you're going to step over the opposite way, not completely sideways, at a bit of a 45-degree angle, because obviously they're standing in front of you. You can't go straight into that person. We're going to sort of go diagonally, release, give ourselves some space. Come back, other one, release, and give ourselves some space. Now, Occasionally, sometimes we will do a counter attack. So it might be that you release here, you step back, and then you do a counter attack. All right? It doesn't have to be the leg. You could step back, and then you could step in and do a punch. You could step back, and you could slide in and do a knife and strike. So occasionally, when you're doing your self-defense, releasing motions, breaking motions, whatever, you do an attack. Obviously, the direct attacking, you're doing an attack anyway to release from that grab. So we're being grabbed, we're utilizing our body mass, okay, by stepping forwards, creating space, and possibly doing a counter attack. Okay, so hopefully everybody understands that. Now, occasionally we will step back, right? Now, if somebody was to grab your wrist with both hands this way, now the weak point now is the thumbs, okay? So what you would do, if somebody's grabbing my right wrist, I would put my hand through the middle. So bear in mind, they're like that. So I put my hand through here. I grab hold of my fingers or my hand, whichever's easiest and quickest, and then I will step backwards. And basically, that's going to happen. There's no way they're going to stop you from pulling out their thumbs, all right? Now, if you're being grabbed with your right wrist, which is your left on this side, you will step back with the same leg and take that hand to the same shoulder, okay? Now, common mistakes here is trying to lift this arm up, all right? Now, don't lift the arm up. All you've got to do is bend the elbow and pull it back to the shoulder, okay? So let's try that one. So put one hand forward, other hand go through the middle. Whichever hand's forward, whichever hand's being grabbed, you're going to go back with that same side. So at the moment, my right hand's being grabbed. So I'm going to step back with my right leg this way. And I've released, okay? And my other arm, I'm going to come through the middle. So now I'm going to step back this way to release, okay? Good. So that's instead of stepping forward, we have to step back. We cannot step forward on that one. But the reason being is we are still utilizing some of that body mass, but it's just because of the mechanics of the way they're holding you. Okay, it's necessary. However, there is another one. If somebody's grabbing you with both arms, so they're doing that again, you can go underneath this time, interlock your fingers, and then you're going to step over and do a big circular motion. So what happens there is they're holding you like that. You've come around here, and then you've pushed their arms up like this, and then you've released. So you're pushing your arm down across their shoulder or their humerus this way. So let's try that one. So you put your left fist forward this way, go underneath now and interlock your fingers. Now, whichever arm you're being grabbed with, that's the leg you're going to step with, and that's the direction you're going to go. It's like drawing a sword and pushing it down this way. Now do the other wrist, underneath, over and down like this. Okay, good. So let's just recap. So they're grabbing this wrist, you're going to release and back. Give yourself space. Grabbing this one, release and back, and then maybe a counter attack. Okay? Now they're grabbing with both hands, you're going to go through the middle, you're going to step back this way. Now they're grabbing the other hand, you go through the middle and step back this way. The variation on that one, you go underneath, big circular motion over the top. Grabbing the other one, you go underneath, big circular motion over the top. Excellent. This time they're grabbing from behind. So they're grabbing both your wrists this way. So what we do here is we step backwards, minding their foot. So we don't stand on their foot, which is impeding our step. We step back and we pull our arms forward. Now what we're also doing is pushing this part of our back into their solar plexus and winding them. So the last thing they're going to be thinking about is keeping hold of your arms. Okay? They're going to be like, whoa, like that, and then they won't be able to breathe. Okay? So you're in this position, you're going to step back, doesn't matter which leg. You can try both, you can practice both. So you're going to step back, arms forward. Now, again, you're in a vulnerable position. So the first thing you need to do after is go forward step turn. Okay? So from this position, go with me. So you're going to go one, and then a forward step turn, right? If I do it this way around, we go together. One, forward step turn. Brilliant. So you've got releasing motions this way, You've got a releasing motion this way, both arms, one and then the other. And you've got a releasing motion where you go right over the top, one way, and then obviously the other way. A releasing motion where they're grabbing you from behind, and then you do that forward step turn. So that's for blue stripes, okay? So blue stripes, try and practice those. Use this video again, go through those motions, and that's basically what we'll be expecting you to do. But it's trying to show your confidence in that as well. So the more you practice, the more confident you're going to get. So for instance, at your grading, I'm going to say to you, I'm grabbing your left wrist, right? So you're standing there, release, one, good. Now I'm grabbing your other wrist and release, good. Now I'm grabbing your right wrist with both hands. Now I'm grabbing your left wrist with both hands. Good. Or if you wanted to do a different one, if you want to do the other one, same thing. One. And one. Now I'm behind you and I'm grabbing both your wrists from behind. Okay? So you see the confidence in that. Now you're only going to get confident in that if you practice. All right? Practice, practice, practice. Now, a variation on this release is if the person grabs across. So if you imagine you're standing in front of me now, this is your right hand here, and your right hand's going to grab my left hand, all right? Or your right hand, sorry, is going to grab my right hand, okay? Now, as your hand comes over here, your thumb and fingers are going to be pointing out that way, right? So you imagine that, so you're grabbing like that. So from this position, instead of stepping this way, I now need to step this way. And of course, creating space. Likewise, if your hand's coming across here and grabbing here, I don't want to come this way. I need to come this way. And again, creating space. Now, if there's a bigger person and they grab your wrist and it feels quite tight, but you still feel you can do a releasing motion instead of an attacking motion, which we'll come on to in a minute, you could use both hands to push, okay? You could grab your fist and use both hands to push. Or instead of coming down here or coming down here, you could do a circular motion over this way. So it goes over there. So what's going to happen there is they're going to go like that, and it's going to open the thumb this way, if you can imagine that. So they're here. If you go that way, it's going to open the thumb like that, okay? But try and stick with those ones, nice and simple. Again, go back to this video, have a look at those releasing motions and go over those. Practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more confident you'll be, and that will come across at your grading. Brilliant. Okay, then we move to blue belt. Now, the second aspect of releasing from a grab is direct attacks. Okay, so we have releasing from a grab, we have releasing motions, which is what we've just done. Then we have attacking motions. Now, that's what it says, really. All you're doing is you're doing a direct attack. Because sometimes if the person's a lot bigger than us, a lot stronger than us, there's no way we're going to do a releasing motion. We have to do a direct attack, okay? And if I'm honest, that might be what you do anyway. If, I mean, heaven forbid, hopefully it never happened, but if you have to defend yourself, that will probably be what you do anyway, because that's what we do week in, week out. We strike, we punch, we kick, we thrust, okay? However, we do have these releasing motions, we do have the breaking motions. So if you do get competent in that and you practice that, then it may be something that you apply in a real situation. So this time, for blue belts, somebody grabs your wrist. You're not now going to do a releasing motion, either this way or this way. You're going to do a direct attack, okay? However, you've got to try and use your imagination, right? So if I'm standing here, just so you can see this situation, they grab my wrist. I'm not going to step forward and do a punch because they're standing here. So it's going to be quite short. It's going to be either like something like a vertical punch or a front punch without stepping too much. Okay, just a quick stun. Likewise, a front snap kick. We can't go like that because obviously they're standing here. So my foot's gone right through to somebody standing behind them. So again, you've got to use your imagination and back this way. So if that person was standing there, is going to be quite short. All right? So think about what you're doing. Think about what you're showing, all right, and you're grading. So you're thinking about how that's going to look, and you're showing that you understand that principle of distance as well, okay? So if somebody grabs your left wrist, you're going to do just a punch here, or a punch here, or an upset punch here, okay? Could also do inward knife and strike, and even an outward knife and strike. Now it could be when you do that strike, your reaction happens because you release it as you strike, all right? It could be that you release as you punch this way. You release as you punch, so your reaction does work, all right? So let's try that. So you put your left fist forward, they're grabbing the left fist, vertical punch, good. Let's try front punch, good. Let's try a front snap kick, either leg, doesn't matter. This way, brilliant. Now they're grabbing both of your wrists. Problem we have here, we can't use our hands because they're being grabbed, so we have to use our legs, all right? So either front snap kick, or pull the hands back so it pulls them towards you, and you can do a front snap kick with the knee, all right? Let's try. So front snap, so they're grabbing your wrist, front snap kick, good. Other leg, good. Maybe pull them in a bit and do a knee, one, good. And again, one. Excellent. Now, somebody's grabbing you from behind, both wrists, and you need to do a direct attack as blue belts, right? So we've got to, again, think about the distance. I can't do that because look where my foot ended up. It ended up through them. And if you think about it, I couldn't, I'm just kicking them now. So they're in that position, so I can't actually kick. So I've got to think about that distance. So we've got to do something like this. So then the back kick happens here, and boom, this way. That's the kick, because that's where they're going to be standing. Hope you understand that. So you're showing that you understand where your opponent is and what distance they're at. So let's try that. So they're grabbing you from behind, bang, back kick like this. Another one you can do is a stamping kick on their foot, or a pressing kick down on the shins. Okay, so it's down this way, using the side of your foot. Especially if you've got shoes on, that's going to be quite effective. Okay, the other one you could do is a back snap kick. So if you imagine you're here, they're standing like that, and you go one between their legs with a back snap kick. That's going to be quite effective, I think. So that's for blue belts, direct attacking. Again, practice so you become confident in what you're doing there. And then when you do your grading, it's going to look confident, okay? And then when we come to do with an actual opponent, when we're allowed to do that again, then we can practice that, and it's going to be just second nature, all right? It just so happens that somebody is actually grabbing us, okay? Brilliant. Now we're moving to red stripes, and that's breaking motions. Now this is probably the most difficult one to show you without actually having somebody. However, we can go through that action. We can go through the action of a breaking motion. So if somebody was to grab my wrist here, instead of me releasing this way or this way, what I would do is I would come over the outside here. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to get my hand in their palm like that. Okay, so if you can imagine somebody's grabbed here, I'm coming over here, I'm grabbing this way, and I'm going to try and twist it out. Twist out with this hand. This hand catches up and does the same thing. So the person is like this, and your hand is on here, twisting and pushing their wrist back. Okay, so you've gone like that, you've gone over here and pushing forward. Now, another thing that's quite important about when we do not just the releasing motion, the breaking motion, or the attacking motions, is about the technique. So if I'm going to do this releasing motion, I'm not just going to go like that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to use my body mass again and twist the wrist. Okay? So let's do that. So you've got your left fist forward. You're going to go over there like that. Imagine you're grabbing their wrist. You're going to twist it. Use the other hand to push it as well. So you just go through this motion. So it's almost like a pattern move. 1, 2. And then the other one. 1, 2. Okay? Good. Now, person's grabbed you here. right? So they've grabbed you on the lapels like that. So they're grabbing you here. So what you're going to do now is you're going to bring this hand over the top and you're going to grab into their fist again. So they're like that. You're coming over here. You're grabbing into their fist. You're trying to do this, okay? So you come over, you grab, again, you twist it, and you push it into a stance to get a good posture. Again, try not to do something like this. You just go like that, all right? You go here, and you're pushing over into a walking stance. Good. Now do the other arm. So you're coming over, grabbing into their hand this way, and you're going to twist and push into the walking stance. Good. Somebody grabbed you by the lapels again, slightly different one. You can come in through here. This is all like, almost like a releasing motion as well. And then on the outside of their arm, I'm pushing down like that. So if you can imagine the person's like this, you're coming through here and pushing on the outside like that. So the person will end up going like this, and then they'll have to release because you're pushing down on this arm, okay? So they're grabbing you here. Let's do it together. So you're going to come over there. 1, forward, 1, and push. Good stance. Now the other arm. 1, and push forward into a good walking stance. Good. Now they're grabbing here, through the middle, interlock your fingers, big circle, over there. Other arm, through the middle, big circle, over there, like that. Brilliant. Good. Now somebody grabs you from behind. So if you imagine I'm standing here, my opponent is here, and they're grabbing me on my right shoulder here, like that. Right? So you imagine that. So I'm here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come on the outside of their arm, and then I'm going to push down this way. Now I could either push down here, or I could come right around here and push down. So then if you imagine this person's here, I'm coming up here, and I'm pushing down like this. So then they're in that position like that, okay? So again, if you can imagine that, from there, I'm going to step through here, up on the outside, and then I'm going to step back, or I'm going to step right round here and push them down. Now what will happen is their arm will be like this. As I'm pushing down, it will be coming through here and under here. So I'm actually catching their arm up by my neck and underneath this arm as I'm pushing them down. Okay, so they're up like that. Hopefully you can sort of picture that and understand that. Okay, good. So try and utilize this video. Remembering, let's just have a recap. So blue stripes, releasing motions. Blue belts, direct attacking motions. Red stripes and above, braking motions, or all three. Right? So it might be you're at your grade and you're a red belt, and I say to you, right, I'm grabbing your left wrist, I want you to release from that. So you would just go, release, and back. And I'll say, right, I'm grabbing both of your wrists now, release from that. So you'll do something like this, attack, okay? I'm behind you, I'm grabbing both your wrists. You're a red belt, and I'm going to say, release. It could be either this one, or if you're a blue belt or above, this one, okay? So don't, just because I say release from that, if I say to you, right, somebody's grabbing your wrist, now release. It doesn't mean you just do a releasing motion if you're a red belt or above. It means you've got to get out of that. If you're a blue stripe, then yes, it just means you do a releasing motion. If you're a blue belt, when I say release, you have to do a direct attack, okay? Whatever that might be, whatever you decide to do, okay? So let's just go through those again. So somebody grabs your left wrist and release. Good. Now they grab your right wrist, release. Good. So this is for blue stripes, yeah? Now they grab your both wrists from behind. Good. Excellent. Now they're going to grab their hands, going to come across this way. Ready? Good. Now they're going to grab your other wrist from across. Release. Good. Now we're blue belts. Grabbing your left wrist and release. Good. Grabbing your right wrist, release. Good. Now they're grabbing both your wrists, release. Good. Now they're grabbing both your wrists from behind and release. Good. Excellent. Now we're red stripes and above, or red stripes, sorry, just red stripes. So somebody's grabbed you by the lapels here, right? And release. Over and twist. Good. Now they've grabbed you again, do the other side. Over and twist. Good. Now they've grabbed your left wrist. Over and twist. Good. Now they've grabbed your other wrist. Over and twist. Good. Excellent. Now you're a red belt, going for black stripe. I say to you, somebody's grabbed your left wrist. I want you to release from that. You could do this. You could do this. You could do this. So how do you know which one to do? Well, you vary them, right? So when I say to you, somebody's grabbed your wrist, I want you to release from that. Maybe the first one you do that. I say to you, okay, now they're grabbing your other wrist. Maybe this time, you do that. And then I say, okay, now they're grabbing your both wrists. Now you do the direct attack. You see, so as red belts and above, you're showing all the different three elements of self-defense, okay? Trying to show that. Try not to just do the releasing motions. Try not to do just the direct attacking motions, and try not to do just the breaking motions. However, if you're a blue stripe, just the releasing motions. If you're a blue belt, just the direct attacking motions. If you're a red stripe, then you could be doing breaking motions, releasing motions, direct attacking motions. Red belts, the same. Breaking motions, releasing motions, direct attacking motions. Okay, so when you get to red stripe, it could be any of those three. And as I said, trying to show all of those three when you've been given the different scenarios that you've been given at your grading. Okay? Okay, hope that's helped. Chole, Shinny, and Hassan. Thank you.